Yeah. So, I mean, Seth, I was involved in policy, obviously Chef Ford, and I had known about Honest Tea. My first Honest Tea experience myself was, I think there was, if you remember, there were still bookshops back in the day when I was cooking in DC in 2008, and there's a bookshop right across the street from my restaurant, which I would go take a break from and just kind of hang out. And that's where I was introduced with Honest Tea.
What was that shop? Do you remember?
It was a I don't want to call it Kramer.
Kramer Books.
Is it Kramer Books?
Yeah.
So Kramer Books.
Yeah.
So it was Kramer Books, and the tea was in there, and I picked it up. I was just looking for something refreshing and delicious, and I took a swig of it, and then I looked at the label, and it said just a tad sweet, and I kind of giggled. I was like, this guy, I didn't even know Seth. I was like, this guy is so funny. I was like, this is exactly what this drink is. It's just a tad sweet. And soon enough, we made sure we were selling Honest Tea at Good Stuff Eatery. We had it in there, and we were so, and then years later, I met Seth on a panel at GW, the one that Jason just mentioned. And Seth had the entrepreneurial that he is. He brought Beyond Meat burgers,
just like Barry at Oprah's.
Yeah, just like Barry. He always had product on him, and he brought it's kind of weird. He brought the Beyond Meat burgers and Honest Tea. And I knew he was going to be on the panel, so I think I had brought some plant waters or something like that. It was a CBD product. I was like, this is the beverage king. I was like, I got to show him what I'm up to. And I don't know if you remember this, but I had asked you. I was like, do you know anybody that could help bottle this stuff? And you had put me in touch with Brian Dworkin,
I did.
which, and I had a brief conversation with him, maybe like, I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
A really brief one. I was like, this guy's crazy. And in my mind, I was like, this guy is nuts. But what had impressed me the most is I had taken, and Seth didn't know this, I had taken my the Beyond Meat burgers back to my house. I had grilled them up, and I cooked them for my wife, which was vegan. Seth had no clue that my wife was vegan, and she absolutely loved them. She was gushing about them all night long. Still very early stage, like it was a very 1.0 maybe at that time, still with the Beyond Meat burgers.
Yeah.
There's some tweaks to be had, but
yeah.
I thought it was the first time I had eaten something that resembled like a burger. So I reached out to Seth. I chased him around for a little on email. I was like, listen, this is amazing. How can we work together? And I started getting involved a little bit with producing some content for Beyond Meat. I was able to kind of fold in. We did a couple of tastings here and there. I remember I threw you a burger palooza at Good Stuff Eatery, and we just swapped the entire menu. We just put Beyond Meat burgers in there, and I thought it was pretty successful. It was piqued your curiosity. And so fast forward, Seth, Seth, actually, you tell me this, because and what was the moment for you, because you were a chair still at the of Beyond Meat, and then you were still holding your TEO, which I always love, by the way, TEO position at Coke.
Yeah. So
what were you like, hey, let me call up this crazy little chef kid and maybe do this plant burger thing?
Yeah. So as executive chair of Beyond Meat, I was working half-time officer of the company, so there was no way I could get directly involved.
Sure.
And then as an employee of Coca-Cola, also half-time, they have a rule that you can't have any business that competes with their customers.
Sure.
So initially I said, well, I can't play a direct role in this, but my wife, who's always been a creative brain behind our businesses, would be a great person to get involved. And I remember we had lunch and we walked around Bethesda.
Yeah.
And Bethesda is such a competitive restaurant environment. I saw all these places going out of business. I'm like, man, I don't want to be one of those.
Yeah.
I'm like paying a lease and then having to go out. Rather than do that, let me try to arrange an introduction to Whole Foods here in the Mid-Atlantic, which I obviously know those folks. And they have this program called the Friends Program that allows you to basically try out a restaurant idea without having to build the lease and all the things. And so we met with them, and we brought them to the Burger Palooza.
Yeah.
And they loved the taste and the idea, and they're like, "Well, this is worth trying."
Yeah. It was actually it gave us actually the best shot of being successful right out of the gate with a concept like this, because and we won't get into the pandemic and all that stuff, because that's all it could be. Well, part 2 with Seth Goldman, learning through the pandemic. But Whole Foods, we were able to get in and open up a kiosk with 115 square feet, and we were doing gangbuster numbers out of there. And we really impressed Whole Foods. And before you know it, they were opening up so many more opportunities to open up more burger shops during COVID, during the pandemic, and I think we got to 10 or something like that, right?